Hello, everybody. This is Stephen Barchetti. Tonight I'm going to be interviewing Jim Toner from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He is a full-time real estate investor, and he is definitely a mover and shaker in the business. So on my website, I'm always interviewing folks that are in real estate so I could get the inside line on how they're doing it. You know, what is it that they're doing a little bit different than everybody else and having huge success. So without further ado, we have Jim on here from Atlanta with us. How you doing tonight, Jim?
Great. If I was any better, I'd be twins there, Stephen, so I'm doing pretty good tonight.
Excellent. Well, just the first few minutes of the call, why don't you explain to everybody how you got involved in real estate to begin with? What path led you to real estate when you were starting?
Well, basically, I was tired of being broke. You know, I was the typical guy, barely a high school graduate, working 40, 50, 60 hours a week, making $5 an hour, nothing really going on. And I found out the working harder wasn't working out for me. And I see that's what so many people are doing today. They're working harder and harder and harder, but they're falling further and further behind. And it was not working out for me at all. And I was living in an area of Pittsburgh called Duquesne, Pennsylvania, and I was living on plastic lawn furniture, and I had blankets taped up over with duct tape taped up over the windows because I couldn't afford curtains, and pretty much nothing going on, at a rapid pace. But one of the habits I had was I was a student of success because I didn't know what I wanted to do. All I knew is I wanted to make money. I didn't care how I did it. I just wanted to do it, and I thought, what better way to learn how to make money than study successful people. So I literally threw myself into studying success and reading hundreds of books, listening to thousands of hours of tape programs on successful people, from the Carnegies to the Rockefellers to Donald Trump to Sam Walton, Walt Disney. And the one common theme throughout, they all seemed at some point to mention real estate. And it was interesting because I didn't have any particular interest in real estate, and frankly, I still don't. I'm not into architecture, design, or anything like that. It was a vehicle to make money. So I figured, well, wealthy people were talking about real estate. And it actually was Andrew Carnegie that said more millionaires have achieved their wealth through real estate than any other endeavor. Well, that to me was a clue, and success does leave clues. And I thought, well, that's a big clue. It's coming from Andrew Carnegie, one of the richest men in history, talking about people making millions in real estate. And that's really what led me into it. Again, I didn't say, hey, I want to be a real estate investor. That had no interest to me. What the interest was the money that it provided. I liked the idea of having other people make me wealthy and having other people pay for my investment. That made sense to me. So that's pretty much how I got started.
Excellent. Now, I have had the pleasure to study some of your teachings and some of your materials, and just like you're saying about other people like Carnegie, they all had some way to do with real estate. You know, that's how a lot of their holdings were, and that's kind of what drew you to it. So as you started putting your real estate team together and so forth, where were some of the problem areas you saw as you started this team-building process?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you the biggest problem, and it's a problem I see so many people make. Everybody wants to get into real estate, be a real estate investor, but the mistake they make is they jump into it and try to figure it out. And it's not a business you want to jump into and try to figure it out, and that's exactly what I did. I thought, well, how hard can that be? Buy a house, fix it up, get it rehabbed, sell it, rent it, whatever. It shouldn't be a problem. And I did it, and it wasn't quite as easy as they make it look on the infomercials. I ran into problems with banks, with contractors, with tenants, with everything, and even being taken advantage of by reputable people, attorneys, bankers. It was not what I envisioned, and it wasn't as it was portrayed to me in the books and on television. I learned very quickly that I needed a team around me, and so as time went on, I started building my own team, people that I would use on a daily basis, such as my own bankers, my own attorneys, contractors, accountants. And once I did that, everything started to change, because it's true, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And if you don't have a powerful team built around you, it's really the downfall of many people. I see a lot of very experienced investors that really just are crashing and burning because they just don't have the right people. Like right now is a perfect example. Well, banks aren't lending money. There's no money out there. It couldn't be further from the truth. They are lending money. The rules of the game have changed a little bit, but of course they're lending money. You just don't know where to go. You don't know how to present things to them. And so there's a lot of people that are not in the game right now, which happens to be the greatest time in the last 50 years to buy real estate, but they're not in the game because they don't have the right team around them. They don't know where to go. And that's what we did with our program. We built a team of all the people that you would need on a daily basis. And that's when we brought people through our coaching program. That's what really got it for them. See, we didn't invent some new, magic formula no one knew about. What we did was put ourselves into the equation, and we put our connections into the equation. We took out the guesswork. We took out the fear. And that's what made it go for people.
Exactly. That's what seems to be popular right now is mentoring and coaching and modeling. And it looks like that's exactly what you guys have put together. I put right under the box where these folks are listening to on the website your PowerPoint presentation. If they scroll down on the website, it's right below where they're listening right now. And you could go through those slides however you'd like. Just gives everybody a visual for what you might be sharing with them.
Yeah, well, you know what I want to do? I want to have some fun here tonight and really just shake it up a little bit. So I want to kind of get to the meat and potatoes of what this business is about, because everybody on the line is not here to, just hear me jibber jabber about the past. They're thinking, how do I make some cash? So let's talk about making some cash in this business. And what I said a few minutes earlier about this being one of the greatest times in the last 50 years, I wasn't kidding. All you folks on the line, you've got to understand that the major difference between the wealthy and the have-nots is really mindset. And wealthy people understand that right now, I believe it was John Rockefeller that said during the Great Depression, when there's blood in the streets, fortunes will be made. And that's very true, and there's blood in the streets right now, and fortunes are being made. And it was also Warren Buffett that just said in an op-ed piece about a month back in the Wall Street Journal, when everybody's greedy, be fearful. When everybody's fearful, be very greedy. And right now, everybody is very fearful because they're being led by the media telling them that, you can't make money in real estate right now. The economy's in the tank. We're in a deep recession. We're facing a possible depression. It's the end of the world. And it's all nonsense. There's a lot of people making a lot of money right now. So I want to show you some examples of some actual deals here and how this business really works, and let you know what the opportunity is that's really out there right now, because these are recent deals. These aren't things from 25 years ago. So I want to show you that banks are lending money. So if everybody wants to go to the slide, first of all, the first one we have there is the 29 Hawthorne Avenue. And I'll give everybody a second to get to that. But it's right past I don't have the number in front of me.
And let me give the slide number. Hold on a second. I'll page to it. Because everybody that's listening through the web could page through the slides themselves, just like I'm doing moderating. And the examples are Hawthorne Avenue is slide 29, and everybody listening could just page through it themselves. So it's slide 29, and Jim will run through some of these numbers.
All right, now what this was, everybody sees the numbers in front of them right now, but I'm going to walk you through this step by step. And I'm going to tell you something that's very important in success here. It's something from Napoleon Hill. For those of you who aren't familiar who Napoleon Hill was, he wrote a book for Andrew Carnegie called Think and Grow Rich. And if you don't have that book, you really need to buy it. It's been responsible for more millionaires than any other book ever written. One of the key concepts in that book is something called a mastermind alliance. And what that is surrounding yourself with talented people who are working in your behalf. You don't have to be the expert in anything. You simply surround yourself with the key people. Now, in investment real estate, most people think, well, I'd love to get into it, but I don't want to be a contractor. I don't want to be a landlord. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Well, that's good. I don't either, and you don't have to. So I'm going to show you how we use the mastermind alliance in these deals. So in effect, what happens is you simply become a conductor. You play this part. You play this part. You're really just coordinating things. So this first example, 29 Hawthorne Avenue in Crafton, here's how this worked. Now, there are many ways. Everybody has different strategies how I do things. One of the things that I do is I put real estate agents to use. Now, not just any agent, but I put agents that are skilled in working with investors. They are the ones who are going to find the properties for me. So we start with very first thing, the address, 29 Hawthorne Avenue, Crafton. I got a call from a real estate agent that I was working with who works with investors. Said, Jim, I've got a deal that's right up your alley. They gave me the background on the deal. It was a good area to look into. And so I went down and I looked at this property. And what it was an old 6-bedroom Victorian home. Someone purchased it. They turned it into a duplex. They had it rented out, and they were foreclosed on. And it was now a bank foreclosure. I walked through the property. It was in very good condition, needed about $10,000 worth of work. And I thought, okay, this is a deal. Now, the bank wanted $73,000 for this property. Now, pay attention here when I'm talking the Mastermind Alliance. Bank foreclosures need to be purchased cash. That doesn't mean it has to be your cash. So the first part of my Mastermind Alliance is my realtor. I didn't find the property. The next part is my money person. For this one, I went to a private investor. There's many ways to get money for deals. You can get it from private investors, hard money lenders, bank lines of credit, credit cards, home equity lines of credit, many ways. For this one, I went to a private investor and said, I've got a deal that I will cut you in on if you lend me all the money to purchase the property and rehab the property. Now, my rehab was going to be $10,000. You're looking at a figure of 50 there, and I'll explain that in a minute. And so I cut a deal with my private investor. So I am now into this deal with no money out of my pocket. I didn't find it. I didn't put up any money. Closed on the property. And again, as I said, the bank wanted $73,000 for the property. We got it for $47,000. Bank foreclosures are bad loans on the books of the bank. They don't want them. So they'll move these properties pennies on the dollar. So I got it for half the price they were asking. I didn't find it. I didn't put the money up. Went over to the property after the closing with the next part of my Mastermind Alliance, my contractor. I don't do work on the properties. And if anybody out there watches Flip This House, I recommend you stop watching the show. It's not, it's pretty backwards of how it really should be done. So I was over there with my contractor just to do a walkthrough, and he said, yeah, we're pretty good, about $10,000, and we can have this up and running and rent it out again. As we were there, a woman knocked on the door, and it turned out she was a local real estate agent. And she said, are you the new owner of this property? I said, yes, I am. And she said, well, I'd like to talk to you about it because, see, what you've got here is the house that I've been looking for. And I said, what do you mean? She said, I have buyers. You have the house. And I said, well, what do you have in mind? She said, if you would be willing to do a restoration on that property, I could sell it for $150,000. And I said, well, sure you can, because I've heard tall tales from real estate agents before. But I said, I'll get back to you. I did some research. Sure enough, if I did certain things to that property, I could sell it for a large profit. So went to my contractor and I said, could you do a restoration? He said, sure, but she's going to have to show us exactly what she wants done. Went back to her. Now, pay attention here. All I'm doing is conducting. I'm not doing anything except talking to people. Went back to her and I said, I will give you the listing if you can show my contractor exactly what you want to have done. And it turned out she was a former designer, interior decorator. So she actually spent the next 3 hours at that property with my contractor, going through it, showing him exactly what to do. Contractor called me back. He said, hey, I've got good news and I got bad news. I said, give me the good news. He said, we're dialed in. This is going to be the Taj Mahal. I know exactly what to do. The lady's great. And I said, well, what is the bad news? He said, the rehab's now $42,000. So it jumped from $10,000 to $42,000 because of the additional work we're going to do. Didn't concern me because I had the proof that the deal, if I did certain things, would work. So where did I go to get the extra $42,000? I went back to my private investor. Now, I have $50,000 there. That's a difference of $8,000. Where did that $8,000 go? It went to my private investor. Someone's not going to lend you money because you're a nice guy. They're going to lend you money for a fee. So I paid them $8,000. But I didn't pay them out of my pocket. I paid them out of the sale proceeds. Work was completed. She sold it to the first person who looked at it. sold for $9,500, or she made $9,500 in commission. I made $46,000 in less than 5 hours of my time invested. Now, that's the line that normally gets people. They say, well, how can you have possibly done that in 5 hours? It's because here's all I did. It's not that things weren't going on. I just wasn't doing them. All I did was I took the initial phone call. I went to look at the property. I went to the closing when I bought it. I went to the property with my contractor the first time. I went to look at it when it was halfway completed. I went to it when it was done. And I went to the closing when it was sold and did a few phone calls back and forth. That's all I did. And that's how a flip should work if you're doing it the right way. You're not supposed to be out at the property hanging out, doing drywall or landscaping or anything like that. Now, that is the prototype of a flip. Most people, though, they're out, they decide they're going to take on a second job. So I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do all the work myself. And a 4-week rehab turns into a 6-month rehab. That doesn't make any sense. The idea is to have the deal structured correctly up front, which is what we teach people how to do. So all the numbers are factored in right up front. So now you are simply the conductor. So $46,000 for about 5 hours of my time invested is not too bad. Do you agree with that, Stephen?
It's beautiful, and it ties right into...
Everybody on the line probably likes that.
Yeah, well, it ties right into a question we got from one of the web listeners because they could text message questions in. Mm-hmm. And one of the questions in the queue was, how could I get started in real estate with little money? And with me being a listener, there wasn't a cent of your money in that deal or your credit score.
Nope, none of it. Well, and that's another. You're exactly right. One of the, wholesaling is a incredible way to make money in real estate. Incredible. Requires no money. Requires no credit. Again, you're just coordinating. But this is an example of a flip that I did that I still did it with no money and no credit because I didn't use a bank. So you just have to. You've got to get a little creative. And again, these are things we teach people to do. But you have to get out of the mindset that, well, I can't invest in real estate because I don't have any money. That shouldn't stop you at all. You don't need money. You don't need the money to become a real estate investor. What you need is the right attitude. I did this entire deal, made $46,000 with not one dime out of my pocket. I didn't do any of the work. I didn't find the property, and I didn't put up any cash. Everybody on the line can do exactly what I did. You just have to have the right system to do it. So what we really need to do and what we work on with people is getting a lot of the old myths dispelled about real estate investing. So that's a typical example, and I'm going to show you now even better one. If you want to go to the next slide, I'll show you how you get an even bigger deal, again, with no money out of my pocket. Now, you're thinking, Jim, that's impossible. Banks aren't lending any money. I'm telling you it is possible. Now, here's a property. Again, the Mastermind Alliance. Remember, you get everybody working for you. If you want to get rich in America today, the truth is you've got to stop working for a living. You've got to get everybody working for you. So here's a property, again, I got a call from my real estate agent. Have a motivated seller. And I went and I looked at this property. Now, they were asking $330,000 for this property. It was way out of line. It was retail, pretty much what they were asking for the property. So I said to my agent, I said, got great potential, great area, but they want too much money. It's retail. And my agent said, well, this girl who owns the property is extremely motivated. She doesn't, she just wants to move it. I said, well, how motivated is she? She said, well, she's on a plane on her way back to Japan right now. I said, okay, well, that's motivated. So I said, let's get her on the phone. So I got her on the phone, and I said, listen, and I did this for myself. I didn't want to have my agent negotiate this. I wanted to do it myself. And I said, look, you got a very nice home, but I don't want to offend you, but you're asking way too much money for the property. And she just immediately said, I don't want it. And I said, I understand that, but the offer I would be willing to make may not be an offer that you'd be willing to accept. She said, make it. I don't want it. Okay, she wanted $330,000. I got that property for $180,000. She's what we call in the business a don't want it. She just didn't want it. So now for this one, I got every single penny from the bank. Now, again, listeners shaking their heads saying it's not possible. Not only are banks not lending money, they're not going to give you all the money. It depends on what lender you're going to. I deal with a lot of business banks. I bought this property so far undervalued that it didn't matter to them If I went sideways on them, they were still well ahead of the game. So I got I shouldn't say every penny. I put $1,000 hand money on this deal. We had a $70,000 rehab on it. Again, I got every penny from the bank. This was 100% financed. We sold it for $346,000. Our agent made $29,000, which isn't too bad. But I made $67,000 on that deal. Spent a little more time on that when it was a little higher in rehab, but spent about 15 hours of my time. Again, I didn't find it. I didn't put up the money. I didn't do the work. I was the coordinator. It's called the Mastermind Alliance. And this, for those of you who, if you missed it earlier, this was Andrew Carnegie's blueprint to success. He got everybody working for him. You know, this one of the people they talk about in Think and Grow Rich is Henry Ford. And Henry Ford was legendary for revolutionizing the automobile industry. Henry Ford he wasn't an engineer, and he would be frequently ridiculed by the press when they would come in a press conference and try to ask him, they would ask him ridiculous questions to try to embarrass him. And he'd say, no problem. He'd press a button, one of his engineers would come in and he'd say, answer that question. And that's how it works. I don't know how to rehab a property. I don't have to do it. You know, it doesn't matter. So I just want that to be clear to everybody that you do not have to be an expert in anything. You surround yourself with the experts. Now, let me show you another example. The next slide there. Everybody's looking at it. You see that property. It's at 2212 East Carson Street. Now, what this was a property, and another don't want her. This was a property. It was a move-in condition, historical certified building. Gentleman had a business in there for 35 years. He just wanted to retire. That's all he wanted. Now, I'm gonna teach people a little lesson here about creative thinking and how you have to start thinking out of the mainstream and start getting outside the box. You'll get a kick out of this, but you got to pay attention. This is a property that was appraised at $445,000. The owner wanted $430,000 for the property. We were only willing to pay $380,000. Now, it was worth what he wanted, but we only wanted to go to $380,000 because at that price point, we were able to get every penny from the bank. Here's how this went down. It just so happens that this gentleman, his business was a pizza shop, and it happened to be a pizza that I'd been eating since I was 7 years old. I'm 46 years old now. I've been eating it my entire life. I think it's the greatest pizza in the world. People drive for hours just to get this pizza. So, now, you may think that's insignificant, but it's not. Pay attention. So we negotiated with the guy. I said, look, we really love to have the building, but we can only pay $380,000. He said, well, there's no deal. I want $430,000. I know what it's worth. I want $430,000. And so we were pretty much at a stalemate. So we were sitting there at the table with him, and he was a real nice guy. His name was Tony. And I said, man, that's a shame, Tony. You know, I would love to own that building because you got the best pizza in the world. And, you know, he's all proud, like a proud father. And he said, yeah, I appreciate that. And I said, man, those people that are taking over your business, they're awful lucky. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, they get the world's greatest pizza. I can't imagine what you made off of that deal. And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, what you charged them for that recipe. He said, what do you mean what I charged them? Now, bear in mind, I knew that he didn't charge them anything. He didn't even think to. And I said, you didn't charge them for your world-famous recipe? He said, no. And as I was beating this point home, I could see his eyes opening wider and wider and wider, realizing that, boy, maybe I should have. I said, Tony, you got to be out of your mind. You've got the greatest pizza in the world. You just let them walk in, your world-famous recipe that you worked at for almost 40 years, you let them walk in and you gave it to them? I said, man, I'd like to have a deal like that. And he was just flabbergasted. He didn't know what to do. And I said, you know what? I got an idea, Tony. I'm going to give you $380 for that building. You want $430. You go back to them and you tell them you want the rest of that money or you're not going to sell them that recipe. And he, without hesitation, said, damn it, you're right. And he got on the phone right there. He called them right in front of us. Said, I need to meet you tonight. And he met them. He called me the next day. He said, done deal. I got the money from them. So here we got this guy just by thinking a little bit out of the box. I got my building. They got their pizza shop. and he got his asking price, and I got it at my price. So because I got it at that price, I got every penny from the bank. It had two 1,800 square foot rental units, both rented at $850 each. The commercial storefront, which was the pizza shop, it's rented at $3,500 a month. So we've got $5,200 a month income coming in. My payment to the bank with taxes and insurance was $2,600. We've got positive cash flow of $2,600. So in other words, I've got a deal here. Now, for all you folks listening there in the stock market, everybody knows what's going on with the returns there. So figure out this return. I'm into the deal with zero out of my pocket, but I've got a $2,600 a month return coming in. I'll let you take a few seconds to get your calculators out, and now I'll give you the answer. It's infinite. You can't calculate it. You can't calculate the return because I had nothing into it. So it's another example. I got every single penny from the bank, and I have a $2,600 a month positive cash flow just by getting a good deal and by thinking a little bit out of the box and being a little bit more creative in solving his problem. His problem was he wanted to sell the property at a certain price. My problem was I wanted to get the building at my price. Their problem was they wanted to own that pizza shop. So I solved the problems for them. That's all we did. We're in the problem-solving business. I just put people together. I coordinated. That's all I did. And that's what real estate's all about. You're solving other people's problems. We buy a real estate foreclosure. We just solved the bank's problem, and we acquired an asset ourselves. So, again, just a little bit of creative thinking. Now I'll actually move on to another. You want me to give another example there, Steve, or you want me to move on to some other things?
Well, if you want to hit another one, they're great,
Well, again, I just want people to understand, that it's a different way of thinking. I just want you to think a little bit differently. You do not have to, and again, this is all things that we teach people with our coaching programs. You don't have to be the expert. You don't have to have $1 million in the bank. You don't have to be doing the work on the properties. It's all a matter of having the right system in place. You don't have to work harder. You need a better plan. Most people are working harder and harder and harder, can't figure out why they're not getting ahead. It's because they're following a flawed plan. What worked 25, 30 years ago doesn't work today. It's a brand new ball game. Rules have changed. If you don't change with the rules, you die. So you've got to learn to adapt. And, right now, we've got a lot of people making a lot of money. That's why I'm down here in Atlanta right now. We're doing a big bus tour in a neighborhood, ironically called Pittsburgh, where homes were picking up, $6,000, $7,000. I mean, that's ridiculous. You put that on a credit card. But people think that you can't get deals right now. And this is when you need to be in the game, right now. Not when the media says it's okay, by then it's too late. You need to get in right now.
Well, that's the beauty of the real estate market right now, and that's where I've been the last 7 years. In the finance side of it, I see where the appraised values of homes are. And even that neighborhood in Atlanta that you said you're able to pick them up for $6,000 or $7,000, that neighborhood's appraising right now, even though we're down 30%. What was it, appraising in the $80,000 range? Exactly,
absolutely. And again, in real estate, rule number one is you make your money when you buy, not when you sell. And that's when we make our money. We're buying these properties at rock bottom prices. How are we able to do it? Because everybody's afraid. Everybody's listening to the media. Not everybody. The folks on this call are different. If you were like that, you wouldn't be on this call. So the folks on this call are much more motivated and think for themselves. But the average person out there is just sitting on the sideline, holding their breath, hoping that the sun comes up tomorrow. And that's a fatal mistake. But because we aren't doing that, we're able to buy these properties at pennies on the dollar. And that's where you make your money in real estate. The reason for the real estate crash was, and again, I want to preface that with, in our area where we are, there was no real estate crash. We're actually going up in value. So not only are we, according to Yahoo Finance, we're in the top 3 markets in the entire country, we're actually going up in value. So we have, number one, incredibly affordable housing, homes you can buy for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, and you can buy them, again, pennies on the dollar, and they're going up in value. So we've got the world's number one commodity, which is affordable housing. So people are sitting on top of a gold mine, and that's what we're taking advantage of right now. I've been a full-time investor for over 20 years, so I've always been doing this in up and down markets, but I've never seen a market like this before where so much money can be made. Literally, without the hyperbole, fortunes will be made within the next few years here, because by the time this turns, it'll be too late. So now is when you absolutely want to get into it. And yes, we are buying these properties pennies on the dollar.
That's what I didn't think in my lifetime. Like you, I'm in my 40s, and if someone would have told me 2 or 3 years ago that I could be buying for 20 cents on the dollar, I'd have said, no way. You know, our market's too strong, it's going up, and I am ecstatic that we have this crash right now, because when you are the buyer, this is the perfect market.
Yeah,
you know,
it is. It really is. You know, a lot of people, again, it's glass half full, is it half empty? A lot of people are looking at things saying, oh, my gosh, it's horrible. But smart investors, and all you folks listening right now that may have IRA or 401k accounts that are being wiped out in the market, if you're not using that account to acquire real estate, you're really, really missing the boat. We teach people how to buy real estate through their IRAs and 401ks. A lot of people don't even know about it because their brokers don't tell them about it because their brokers can't make any money off it. But there's a company we deal with in Cleveland, Ohio that's doing over $50 million a week in real estate transactions. Because where else would you want to have your money right now? When you got an unstable economy in the stock market, you've got to have your money in a tangible asset, something that's safe, secure, that you can get your hands on. So we teach people how to acquire real estate with their 401k and their IRA. So now their money is not only is it safe and secure, it's growing tax deferred. It's an unbelievable wealth builder that so many people look over again because it's out of the norm. It's not the most conventional thing. People don't know about it. But it's something that smart investors are using every single day, and it's one of the things that we teach people how to do also, Steve.
Yep. It's the way to leverage, and like you say, tax deferment, and that's what's packed into those training classes is all of this material.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, folks, a little bit, about why they should look into this, because you see also there's a retirement example in there. If you're listening right now, folks, and you don't have a retirement plan, you really need to take some serious action right away, because there's certain realities in life, and one of them is you're going to retire, either voluntarily or involuntarily. The question you've got to ask is, will you be ready? Most people will not be ready. This is the first time since the Great Depression that Americans are at a negative savings rate, and that's a major, major red flag, because you're going to retire. And, the idea is in your retirement years, you got to have lifestyle. It's not, you folks didn't tune into this call, learn how to make $100. You learned how to get yourself out of the rut that you might be in, or how to really live the life you want, live the dreams you wanted. I mean, ask yourself the question, is anybody on the call living their childhood dreams? Are you doing the things that you really want to do? Are you at a job that you hate that's really just sucking the life out of you? And it's just, it's taking everything you have, taking you away from your family, from your dreams, for an unsatisfactory paycheck. Is it worth it? I say no, it's not. And so you've really got to get something in your arsenal that's going to allow you to live the lifestyle that you want. Again, we don't do real estate because we like houses. It's because it allows us the lifestyle. And I had some slides in there earlier that folks can see, and these are places I've been and things I've done, and these are things that, I put these in there to get people to start dreaming it, start thinking big. What do you really want to do? Because we can get it with the real estate, but you've got to know, what is it you really want to do? Start thinking big again. Think like a kid. Because, most of the things that's stopping people is the negativity and the self-doubt. And the other end of it is the financial part of it. We can take care of the financial part of it. But what we got to get you to do is work on that self-doubt. Who you're surrounded with. You're around people that are trying to drag you down, people that are telling you, that doesn't work, real estate's no good, haven't you heard, you can't do this, you can't do that. I'm here to tell you can. We do it every day. And we've had a hugely successful coaching program for over 8 years. We have people making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 on deals. My question is, why not you? It's out there for everybody, and we've put it together in packages for everybody. And I'm going to flip to a slide here. The why here, why now slide. I'm not sure what number that is, but why would you invest? First of all, why not? You get one life. It's not a dress rehearsal. You gotta live the one shot you have right now. And the timing is perfect. I've said this earlier in the call here. This is the greatest time in the last 50 years to buy real estate. When you've got everybody sitting on the sidelines in fear, that's when you want to buy. And we have everybody sitting aside right now. They're terrified to breathe because the media is saying don't breathe. I'm telling you right now, you'll never find deals like this again. The area we happen to be in, Western PA, so no matter where you're listening from, we actually deal with investors all over the country that are buying properties in our area simply because of the affordable housing. We can pick up the homes for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. You can have them rented out for $700-800 a month. You can turn around and do flips on them. So we've got an incredibly viable market. The opportunity to form an alliance you see there, one of the reasons we created our coaching program was we wanted to create people that we can use as potential partners. So not only did we want to train people to become successful themselves, we wanted to be able to say, hey, you know what, you're doing really well. We've got a major deal. We're looking at developing a neighborhood. We're looking at buying a shopping mall. We're looking for some partners. Would you be interested? And that's what we do with our program, that the people that are really excelling in there and they're just kicking butt at this, we say, hey, you know, we're looking for 5 or 6 partners. Who wants to jump in the game with us? We've got some major deals we're doing. Come on board. And, you know, you see there everybody benefits. In real estate, it's a win-win situation for everybody. So it's the perfect business, Steve. It's the perfect time. It's the perfect environment and atmosphere. It's really the perfect storm for getting involved with this right now, not tomorrow. I know a lot of people think, well, it's the holidays, you know. I'm telling you, folks, you don't want to let this opportunity pass you by. So what we've done with our program, and we'll give everybody the opportunity to call our office and make an appointment to come in and talk to us, but we created a one-stop shop, we like to call it, to success, where we provide the education, the personal training, the partnerships, the sales, financing, consultation. We're personally working with people. So what we did was put together a personal mentoring program. So when we're working with a client, they're not just out looking for a property and trying to figure it out. We actually look at the property with them. We tell them if it's a good deal or not. We help them put it together. So we do it as if it's our deal, and they're just tagging along, but it's their deal. And that's what made the program such a huge success. And that's what we offer to people. And we have programs for everybody. We actually have programs that range from $3,000 all the way up to $25,000 for people who just want us to do it for them, where we'll actually go out, we'll do the entire process for them. We'll find them the deals, we'll get the rehabbing done, we'll get the financing set up, we'll handle it all for them. So we have something for absolutely everybody, and we're offering a select few people the opportunity to come in and talk to us. And now what we do, Steve, is, you know, we do interviews with people. We actually have them come into our office and meet us personally because we're very selective who we bring into our program. We like to say we're looking for ambitious, motivated, but not greedy people. We're looking for good people that want to make some money. And but we want to make sure you're in the right situation, you're a good fit for our program. So what we do is, if you have a pen out there, folks, you give our office a call tomorrow morning at 412-673-9800, and my office manager, Beverly, will give you a chance to. Now, we're limited to how many people we can take for the interview. I think for this one we have to cut it off at 20. So it's really the first 20 to call. We get in at 8:30, but it's the first 20 to call to come in for an interview. There's no obligation. It's a chance to sit down and talk to see if it's something that's a fit for you, if you're a fit for us. Again, we're particular who we work with. If we can't help you, we're not going to hurt you. So it's a chance to sit down one-on-one, talk, tell you a little more about our program and how we think we can help you. But we're opening this up really to the first 20 callers who are going to get this chance to come in personally, talk with us one-on-one.
Excellent. Excellent. Everybody sees the website link. If you're listening through the web or dialed in, we got the link over to Jim's website right there on the call there, and that's all Jim's contact information for the office. So, you know, email, phone numbers, all that stuff.
Yeah, so everybody can contact us. Again, first thing in the morning, it's really a first-come, first-serve. When we do these, we usually get slammed with phone calls, but because it's the end of the year and we're working on some things here, we can't take the normal number that we do, so we really had to limit it to 20 this time. But, you know, it's a golden opportunity for folks. And, you know, the thing I didn't mention, Steve, that one of the things that we do that nobody else does, for every one of our programs, whether it's our $3,000 or $25,000, we offer 100% money-back guarantees. If we accept somebody into our program and they've done everything that we said and they didn't find a deal, we'd either give them a deal or we'll give them their money back. Nobody does that. That's how confident we are with our program, and that's how confident we are that you will make money, and that's why we have such a huge response to our program. So really, I've got to limit it to the first 20. I can't do any more this month. But, folks, if you're out there listening right now and your financial situation is not where you want it to be, you need to get on that phone and get a hold of us first thing in the morning. First 20 callers, we'll get you in for an appointment. If you happen to live out of state, we'll do it by phone for you, and we'll get you going with the program. But don't miss this opportunity because it changed my life. It's changed the lives of thousands of people that we've worked with through the years, and it'll change yours too. It all starts with just making that decision.
Excellent. Well, what I can do is we could wrap the call up a little bit early. It's been about 45 minutes, and that's the nice thing about the phone conferencing is we could just customize it to whatever fits. So, like I say, the Jim's web link is there that gets all his contact information. Keep watching your email inbox because Jim could shoot you more emails, and listen to the radio because Jim's always on the radio. So keep your ears and eyes open, and we hope to talk to everybody soon.
Good night, everybody. Have a great night.
All right, Jim. Talk to you soon.
All right, Steve. Thank you.